First of all, one of the issues in Turkey that are discussed is the fact that currently we have a government in Turkey which has been ruling the country since 2002. As explained in the beginning, there are some events that took place at the end of May and the first week of June. It started in Taksim Square, which is a very important place in Istanbul, and then it spread to other cities. And I will try to explain what are the main reasons behind such comprehensive protests that took place in and around Turkey. And when there was a change in the political mood in Turkey in 2002, this is the time that the first Justice and Development Party came to power, Erdogan's AK Party. There were some suspicions among the Turkish elite, among the Turkish military, among the Turkish media, that this government, because of its conservative values and conservative ideology, will Islamicize the country, will turn its back to the European Union principles and values. But the party took a different stance, took a different direction. Instead of turning its back to the European Union, what it did was to have full negotiations with the European Union. And especially in the United States of America and in the European Union, a debate started whether Turkey was changing its axis, whether Turkey was becoming involved in the Middle Eastern affairs much more. It is true that Turkey started to become part of the Middle East because geographically speaking, historically speaking, and culturally speaking, Turkey is located in the Middle East. But during the formative period of the earlier Republican Turkey, Turkey was an introverted country. Rather than expanding its horizons, rather than looking at the neighboring countries, for example, Turkey decided to look its own affairs. And when we look at even the domestic affairs, we see that in many areas, Turkey failed to open up new avenues for people. The Republican ideology was based on homogenization of the society. Therefore, any ideologies, any identities which are not part of the mainstream Turkishness or Turkish ideology, Turkish nationalism was not recognized, and the Kurdish language was not allowed, for example. It was this government in 2009, Erdogan government, recognized this issue politically. For the first time, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, the Prime Minister of Turkey, went to Diyarbakir, which is a Kurdish city in Turkey, and recognized that until then the state denied Kurdish reality in Turkey. I think this is an important development as far as the power balances in Turkey is changing. We had at the center all this security elite, we had all these modernist and secularist elite, but things started to change in Turkey. And of course, becoming member of the European Union, that is an important step, and also Turkey's membership with the global world, economic development, the level of education in Turkey are also important areas that contributed to the development of democratization in Turkey. At the end of May, a number of people occupied a small park in Taksim Square, because the future of the Taksim Square or this Gezi Park was not known. The government was not able to explain the development plans. And it was thought by the people that the whole park would be destroyed. Therefore, they went there and they started a campaign of protecting the trees and protecting the environment. It started with this kind of environmentally friendly protests within the Gezi Park itself. It's a very small park in Taksim Square. Secondly, these young people, most of them were young people, and they were effectively using the social media. They were saying that the government should listen to us as well. Because at the same time, few other things took place. One is naming a bridge in Turkey, the third bridge on the Bosphorus. It was named after Yavuz Sultan Selim as one of the Ottoman sultans, which was accused of having discriminatory policies toward the Alevi minority at the time. Secondly, at this time of the year, the government introduced a law which not prohibits the sale of alcohol, but put some restrictions on the sale of alcohol. And this was seen and presented by many people as intervention in the personal lifestyles of people. However, when you look at the statements of different people, some people argue that yes, this is an intervention of the government because the government has a hidden Islamic agenda. Some people argue that. One should make a separation and differentiation between people who started at the Gezi Park itself. I'm talking about the young people. I'm talking about well-educated people with a concern of environmental protection. But also, one should look at those people who occupied Taksim Square and started some violent attempts to maybe overthrowing the government is a strong word, but when you look at the pattern, because it started in Taksim Square, the violence was part of it, and it spread to all other cities. I think then people looked at different because the legitimate protest was hijacked by other organizations with some violent methods.
Turkey, as you all know, and also mentioned by Professor Küçükcan, has lived through major changes at home during the past 10 years, which made it a center of attraction for both global and regional observers. While global observers became genuinely interested in understanding dynamics of this Turkish change, many regional observers came to consider Turkey's performance as a reference point. Turkey, meanwhile, has considered itself as one of the forerunners of an extensive regional systemic change and availed itself for experience sharing with many other Middle Eastern countries. And when the so-called Arab Spring started in the region in the Middle East, Turkey, as a country which benefited greatly from the reforms in economy, in politics, in foreign policy also, positioned itself at the side of the reformist side of the revolutions or the conflict in the region. It positioned itself as an anti-status quo oppositional movement. And this, I would say, unhesitant siding of Turkey with the oppositional movements in the region, in the Middle East, by Turkey, brought the country, or Turkey, once again to the fore of attention in many foreign policy circles. Turkey is a country which benefited greatly from an extensive reform program ranging from domestic politics to economy and foreign policy. And needless to say that Turkey is not the only country in the world that has done an extensive reform program and that has done well politically and economically in a short period of time. But there are some factors that made Turkey a relevant actor or a relevant role model for many countries in the Middle East. And another reason which makes Turkey very relevant in the Middle Eastern context is the fact that there are many similarities between the demands of the Middle Eastern people, or the Arab Spring demands, and the demands that were voiced by Turkey or the Turkish people up until, let's say, up until now. Bread and dignity were the two main themes of the Arab Spring. Bread was signifying the economic demands of the people, which were also voiced by the Turks themselves. And dignity, that means freedom to speech, ability to choose one's own leaders without corruption or without having the censorship or with the dignity of the ballot box. And I think this is one important point here that I would like to signify: the dignity of the ballot box, or respect for the ballot box, or respect for the choice of the people. This similarity in problems and demands of change between Turkey and the Arab world made the Turkish experience a point of reference. I would like to argue here that stemming from the similarities in the demands and the problems in Turkey of the pre-2000 Turkey and the Arab world at the moment, I would like to argue that the transformation that Turkey went through during the last decade is one of the predecessors of the Arab Spring. And knowing that Turkey can share its experience with the regional people, or with the Middle Eastern people, Turkey tried to create an atmosphere that enables economic, social, cultural, and political interaction between the people of Turkey and the people of the region. The Turkish foreign policy makers believe that the Arab Spring would cure some of the abnormalities in the Middle East, remaining from the First World War years, which left the region with imposed borders and with clashing nationalistic rhetoric. And then came the Cold War years. Cold War years added imposed alliances, a Palestinian state to be established, and the reality of the Israeli occupation. Furthermore, the Camp David Accords established a regional system which prioritizes Israel's security over everything else and prepares political downfall of Egypt, which is traditionally a major power broker in the Middle East. The new Middle East, then, expected to be shaped by the Arab Spring or the Arab Street or the will of the people, would command more legitimacy and people's will, and could be more efficient than the status quo regimes to cure these abnormalities and persistent problems. I would probably begin by saying that Al-Qaeda, also, although very visible at the moment in Syria, is still constitutes a very small portion of the general Syrian opposition groups inside the country. But still, I think, and I believe that Turkish foreign policy makers think or agree with me, that it still, constitutes a huge problem for Syria in many ways. Security-wise, that's definitely the question. We don't know actually who they are dealing with, who they are, doing business with. This is that one dark side of Al-Qaeda in Syria. As you know, the northern Syria has been under opposition control for some time, and the Syrian regime have left the northern part of Syria for more than a year now. And using this power vacuum, the PYD is trying to, strengthen its hand at the expense of other Syrian opposition groups, not only the Kurds, but the Arabs, but also the Kurds. Because when the PYD was fighting with the other opposition groups, there were some Kurdish groups also within the opposition against PYD. But under these two concerns, the main concern of Turkey is the territorial integrity of Syria, and Turkey thinks that territorial integrity should be kept.
I think Turkey is now facing a dilemma on the Syrian issue as far as intervention is concerned. So there are two scenarios. Without intervention, what will happen? The crisis will continue deeper and deeper. At the moment, Turkey is paying the cost of having a lot of refugees coming from Syria. At the moment, in Turkey, there are 300,000 in the camps, yet another 250,000 outside camps. More than 500,000 Syrians are living in Turkey, and this has not only economic consequences, but also that will have social and political consequences later on. And whether this is sustainable for Turkey or not, this is a big question. Secondly, security-wise, a war is going on next door, and you would like to watch it. To what extent and how far, whether you can control it. When it comes to intervention business, Syria is a neighboring country to us, and it's a Muslim country, whether it is Muslim or not. Any intervention in the Middle East was not really conducive to peace, stability. So this is a dilemma for Turkey. I think it is not an easy answer to say, yes, we would like to have intervention, that will solve all the problems. We will watch it and it will be solved on its own. I think there is no magic solution to the Syrian crisis, and I think international community should recognize the concerns of Turkey as well, not only the other neighboring countries. So Turkey is, we have 900 kilometers border with Syria today.